All right, let's dive into this stack of reviews for Robert Eggers' new Nosferatu. We're going deep on this one, really trying to figure out what's captivating audiences and critics. It seems like there's something special about this film.
Yeah, you can tell right away that this isn't your typical horror movie.
Yeah, what makes you say that?
A lot of reviewers are pointing out how artistic it is, even comparing it to, like, German romantic painters.
So not just about jump scares then.
No, it seems like Eggers is using horror to, explore something deeper. One reviewer even called it a meditation on civilization's inevitable decline. Kind of a heavy concept.
Wow, that's intense. But even with these like darker themes, there's so much praise for how visually beautiful the film is. Hauntingly beautiful, breathtaking. One even said it's like an angel falling out of a window.
That's Eggers for you, always playing with those contrasts.
Yeah.
Beauty and horror, darkness and light. It's like unsettling, but also draws you in.
It's interesting how he's using that visual language to tap into our deeper fears, right? But I have to say, the performances are what really jump out from these reviews. Lily Rose Depp is getting a ton of praise for her role.
Oh, yeah, she's phenomenal in this.
One reviewer said she gives every ounce of her body and soul to this eye-popping performance of tormented possession. Stupendously good. Effortless transitions. I mean, how do you even begin to act like that?
Portraying possession is tough, It can easily become like a cliche or too dramatic.
Totally.
But Depp, she really nails that balance, makes it believable, even captivating. The reviewers are all saying that she embodies this other entity so convincingly.
Yeah, and it takes serious vulnerability to do that. It's like a complete transformation.
Totally. And then there's Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok. He definitely brings the creepiness factor.
Oh yeah, he does.
But reviewers are describing him as compelling. Alluring, even. It's really interesting how he's playing with the whole Dracula archetype.
It's like he's both seductive and terrifying at the same time. One reviewer said his presence lingers even when he's not on screen.
Yeah, that's a sign of a powerful performance for sure. And you can't talk about this film without mentioning Eggers' commitment to historical accuracy. He really brings the period to life.
Absolutely. The reviews consistently highlight that. They mention the lighting, the colors, even how he portrays the plague. It's like he's not shying away from the grim reality of that time.
No, he's using it to create this, really unsettling atmosphere that just permeates the whole film. It makes the horror that much more effective.
Right. And speaking of history, we have to talk about the connection to the original Nosferatu silent film from 1922.
Oh, yeah, that's a big part of what's generating buzz around this film.
One reviewer even said they felt strangely emotional watching this modern interpretation.
It's fascinating, right? Why are we still so drawn to these vampire stories after all this time?
That's a great question. What do you think it is about Nosferatu that keeps resonating with audiences?
That's a tough one. Maybe it's about those primal fears, The darkness that we sense but can't fully grasp.
Yeah, like confronting those fears in a safe space through the film.
Exactly. But we can't ignore the few criticisms about the film's pacing, particularly in the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, some reviewers felt like the timeline was a bit rushed.
It's interesting because pacing is so important in horror. It's all about building that tension and then releasing it at the right time. Maybe Eggers was experimenting with that a bit.
Right, pushing the boundaries of traditional storytelling.
Exactly. So far, we have a visually stunning film, incredibly complex psychologically, beautiful, terrifying, and maybe even a little confusing at times.
Definitely sounds like a wild ride.
Yeah.
What else are reviewers highlighting?
The sound design is a big one. Reviewers are calling the score ethereal, enveloping, emphasizing how it contributes to the film's overall sense of dread.
Sound is so crucial in horror, right? It's about what you hear and what you don't hear. It's all part of the atmosphere.
Yeah, and the reviews suggest that Eggers really knows how to use sound to manipulate our emotions. He's creating a fully immersive experience with Nosferatu.
And we can't forget about the rats.
Oh yeah, the rats. They're practically a trademark in gothic horror.
Some reviewers mentioned them gnawing on corpses. Others talked about them scurrying everywhere. It sounds like Eggers is really playing with those classic horror tropes.
Right. But he's also a master of symbolism. Think about what those rats might represent. Is it just decay and disease? Or are they symbolizing something more, like the spread of fear?
That's a fantastic question. And it leads us perfectly into our next segment, where we'll dive into the film's deeper meaning and those thought-provoking themes that Eggers is exploring. Stay tuned.
All right, so picking up where we left off, you mentioned some pretty thought-provoking themes. What really stood out to me from the reviews was the emphasis on the film's artistic merit. It's more than just being visually appealing. There's a real depth to it.
Yeah, a lot of reviewers are making connections to those German romantic painters, especially Caspar David Friedrich.
Exactly. And it makes sense, right? Think about those vast, desolate landscapes, those lone figures almost swallowed up by nature, that sense of awe and dread you get from Friedrich's work. It's all there in Nosferatu.
It's funny you should mention that because one reviewer pointed out how that mercurial brooding in the film mirrors this ineffable dream state they feel our world is in now.
That's interesting.
Like there's a connection between the visual style and modern anxieties like, our shrinking attention spans, crumbling social structures.
It's like Eggers is tapping into those anxieties through the visuals. It's more than just entertainment, right? It's making us think about our place in the world, our relationship to history.
It's definitely something that gets under your skin. But, we can't forget about the heart of the story, the vampire himself. Skarsgård is getting so much praise for his portrayal of Count Orlok.
Oh yeah, he's captivating to watch.
Compelling, alluring, grotesque. Reviewers are really highlighting that duality of the vampire myth.
It's like he's walking this tightrope, embodying that seductive power, the forbidden allure, but also like the raw terror of the monster.
One reviewer even said that the overall portrayal of Count Orlok is so utterly compelling every moment he's on screen that his presence lingers even when he's not.
Wow.
Yeah. What is it about these vampires that we find so fascinating? Their power, immortality, or is there something deeper going on?
It's a question that's been around forever, right? They represent this transgression of boundaries, the allure of the unknown. Maybe we see a bit of our own darker impulses reflected in them.
Maybe those parts of ourselves that we try to hide. It's like Eggers is playing with that idea too, with his use of light and shadow.
Oh, absolutely. He's a master of that, creating mood and atmosphere. In Nosferatu, he uses the camera to really pull you into that world of shadows and secrets. You're completely immersed.
And the music, the score, reviewers called it ethereal and enveloping.
It's easy to overlook sound design, but it's such a crucial part of the experience. The score, the sound effects, they work with the visuals to really draw the audience in.
It's interesting because several reviewers mentioned something I didn't expect. Humor.
Humor in a vampire film, that's unexpected.
I know, right? But they pointed out these moments of comic relief, especially from Willem Dafoe. One even said he was our only reliable source of comic relief between bouts of commanding oratory.
Maybe it's Eggers' way of playing with genre conventions, injecting a little levity into this dark story. Or maybe it's a way to, cope with the intensity of it all.
That's a really interesting point. What is the role of humor in horror? Does it make the fear more intense? Or is it a way to find some light in all that darkness?
That's a big question. And it leads to an even bigger question about the film's overall message. What is Nosferatu really trying to say?
That's what we'll explore in our final segment. We'll try to unravel the film's deeper meaning and all those complex themes. Okay, so we've made it to the final part of our Nosferatu deep dive. We've talked about the visuals, the performances, the history, but now it's time to tackle the big question. What does it all mean? What's this film really trying to say?
It's tough to pin down, right? There's no single answer. But one reviewer called the film a warning about the night demon of ambition and greed. That really stuck with me.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. It implies that there's something more going on here than just a classic vampire story.
Exactly. And if you think about the time period when the story takes place, the plague, the social unrest, it's all very relevant in what we're going through today. It's like the film is reflecting our own anxieties back at us.
So it's not just a vampire movie. It's about the darkness within humanity itself.
Right. And it's not just about pointing fingers or preaching a moral lesson. Eggers is asking us to confront those uncomfortable truths.
Another reviewer called it a meditation on civilization's inevitable decline. That's pretty bleak.
It is, but there's this strange beauty in how Eggers portrays that decline,
Yeah.
He finds artistry in the decay.
It's that constant push and pull between beauty and horror that makes the film so fascinating.
Exactly. It's repulsive and alluring, terrifying and beautiful, all at the same time. It's a confrontation with darkness, but we also find something captivating in that confrontation.
This is definitely a film that will stick with you. It's complex, it's layered, and I think everyone will take away something different from it.
Definitely. But one thing's for sure, this is more than just entertainment. It stays with you, it makes you think, it lingers long after the credits roll.
I think that's what makes Eggers such a unique filmmaker. He challenges our perceptions, pushes us out of our comfort zones, and forces us to confront these uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world.
Absolutely.
So, for everyone listening, as you think about everything we've discussed today, and maybe even watch the film yourselves, ask yourself, what did Nosferatu mean to you? What did it say about our fears and desires? How do we relate to that darkness, both inside and outside of ourselves? Let us know your thoughts, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.